All right, listener name, buckle up, because today we are diving deep into Reboot Your Realities. This one's right up your alley, especially with how you're all about maximizing your time and talents.
It really is a practical guide, not just some vague self-help stuff. It's all about actionable strategies to help you break free of those things that hold you back.
Yeah, and Iqbal doesn't waste any time. He just jumps right into it. Like how he tackles failure. He's not just saying accept it and move on.
Oh, definitely not.
He's talking about embracing failure.
Using it.
Yes, like a stepping stone.
Yeah, it's about looking at things differently, shifting your perspective. Like every time you have a setback, think of it as data.
Oh, I like that.
It's feedback that you can use
Failure's the data.
to refine your approach so you can be even more successful.
Love it. And, he even breaks down all those common pitfalls, those things that we all stumble over.
Which we all have.
Oh, yeah, we all have them. Lack of preparation, fear.
Oh, yeah.
Which, by the way, he talks about fear of success, too, which I thought was really interesting.
Yeah.
Inconsistency, not sticking with things, losing focus, communication breakdowns,
Right.
and even just not being clear, like crystal clear, about what we want.
It's a pretty comprehensive list,
Yeah.
and you can see how each one of those things can really derail your progress. But the thing is, he doesn't just point them out and that's it. He digs a little deeper, He looks at the why. Like, why do we fear success?
Yeah, why?
It's not always just about being afraid to succeed. Sometimes it's, well, what if I succeed? What does that mean? More responsibility? Maybe a change in your lifestyle?
Well, for sure.
Maybe you're afraid of disappointing other people.
Sometimes it's like we're, without realizing it, putting these roadblocks up to our own success.
Absolutely. But if you can acknowledge those self-limiting beliefs and really understand where they're coming from, then you can start to reframe them. And that's where that rebooting really begins.
And this is where he talks about, like, grit, right?
Yes.
It's not enough to just start. You have to be able to bounce back when things get tough.
You have to be persistent. Have you ever heard that analogy of water dripping on a stone?
Yes.
Like one single drop, it's not going to do anything. But over time, if that water consistently drips on that stone, it can carve out these incredible formations.
Well,
And it's that persistent effort, that refusal to give up, that can really shape our realities.
I love that analogy, the power of persistence. Now, another thing that really stood out to me was his take on talent. He says talent is everywhere. It's the belief in it that's often missing.
It's like, think of a seed.
Okay.
It has all the potential in the world, but it needs the right conditions to flourish. It needs to be nurtured. But most importantly, it needs belief to truly blossom.
Okay, so speaking of setting ourselves up for success, he introduces these two acronyms, TEAM and LEAP.
Think of them like blueprints, but tailored for different stages in your journey.
Okay, so TEAM, that's for like the big leagues, the like larger businesses that are building their dream team.
That's right. Talent, expertise, attitude, and method. It's about recognizing the crucial elements that make up a high-performing team.
In LT, that's more for us solopreneurs, the one-person shows just getting started out.
Exactly. Leader, expertise, approach, and process. Because when you're first starting out, it's easy to feel like you have to figure everything out yourself, which leads us to what Iqbal calls the how trap.
Okay.
Which is that feeling of like, I have to know how to do everything in my business.
Oh, the how trap, yeah. I think I fall into that one all the time. This how trap thing, I feel like I'm constantly falling into it.
It's so easy to do, right?
It is. It's like, oh, I'm starting an online business, so suddenly I think I need to learn how to code a website from scratch.
Yeah, the do-it-yourself pull is strong, for sure. But Iqbal makes a really good point about this, and it comes down to opportunity cost.
Okay, opportunity cost. Break that down for me like I am back in like Econ 101.
Okay, so every time you say yes to one thing, you're saying no to something else, right? So if you're saying yes to spending the next 3 months learning how to code,
Yeah.
what are you saying no to?
The things that I should be doing to actually like move my business forward,
Right.
like connecting with clients or like working on my marketing strategy, like the things I'm actually good at.
Exactly. And let's be real, somebody who does web development professionally is going to do a way better job than you.
Oh, yeah.
Way faster, too, most likely.
For sure.
So if you outsource it, then you can focus on your zone of genius.
Work smarter, not harder. Right.
Exactly.
Sometimes the smartest thing you can do is like recognize when to bring in the experts.
It's about being strategic with your time and energy, especially these days when everybody wants more of both. I mean, lifelong learning is great,
Yeah.
but it shouldn't be at the expense of your, like, larger goals.
It's like trying to build one of those Lego cities without the instructions.
Oh, yeah.
You might eventually figure it out.
You will.
But think about all that time
The frustration.
and frustration if you had just had a little guidance.
A little help.
And speaking of guidance, this brings us to one of, I think, the coolest concepts in the book,
Oh, yeah.
which is this whole idea of being a contractor of your own life.
I love that analogy.
What does that even mean?
When you think about a contractor for building a house, they're not good at every single trade.
They don't have to be.
Right. They don't have to be the electrician, the plumber, and the roofer all in one.
Right, right.
But they see the big picture.
Yes.
And they know how to assemble the right team to make that vision a reality.
That's their superpower.
Exactly.
So you're saying instead of getting bogged down in the how-to of every little thing,
Right.
we should be focusing on like the big picture vision and then delegating those specialized tasks to the people who are actually good at them.
Exactly.
I like it. So we need to make that mental shift, right? Instead of thinking we have to do it all ourselves, we become the like general contractor of our own lives.
Nah. Yeah, it's a real shift from being a solo act to, like you said, building that dream team.
Yes.
And the best part is Iqbal doesn't just leave us hanging with that idea.
Okay, good.
He actually tells you how to make that mental shift in the last part of the book, Mentality Reboot.
Which, yeah, that's where the rubber meets the road, right?
Yeah.
It's one thing to like get these concepts,
Right.
but to actually change your behavior.
It's a whole other thing.
It is. It's like that saying, you know, if you want something done right, you got to do it yourself.
Right.
But maybe that's actually setting us up to fail.
It can. It can lead to burnout for sure. And Iqbal even says that, like making that shift from being, a solo problem solver to being more of an orchestrator, it can be tough.
It can be tough, especially for those of us who like to be in control.
Right. Exactly.
So how do we rewire our brains?
Well, I think it starts by recognizing that our time is limited,
Okay.
but our potential, especially when we start bringing other people's strengths into the mix, our potential is limitless.
I do love how he ends the book, though, because he's like, start the reboot in your mind and remember, I believe in you.
He does. It's great.
It's like, yeah, like a pep talk from a friend who believes in you,
Exactly.
even when you don't believe in yourself.
And that is so powerful, that belief, that encouragement, it can make all the difference in the world.
Totally. So, listener name, as you're going through Reboot Your Realities, we want to challenge you to, like, think about these concepts. Which ones really resonate with you? Are you someone like me who falls into the how trap all the time? What are those self-limiting beliefs that might be holding you back?
What's one thing, just one tiny little thing you can do this week to apply just one of these things?
Yeah, just one little step.
Just one little step. It doesn't have to be huge.
Because it's not about, like, it becoming somebody different.
No.
It's about becoming who you already are.
Unlocking that potential.
Yes. Unlocking that potential that's already there.
It's about a new way of thinking, a new way of working, a new way of being, really.
Yeah, that lets you soar.
Exactly.
It's higher than you ever thought you could go.
It's about really, like, designing the life you want brick by brick with a little help.
With a little help from your friends.
Yes.
Well, on that note, we will leave you with this. If you truly believed in your own unlimited potential, what incredible things would you dare to achieve? Until next time, keep diving deep and keep rebooting those realities.